Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. So on today's video, we're going to be doing another reaction. This time it is to Skylife's video, Inside the Magical World of a Manifesting Witch. Now, anyone that's been on this channel for a while will know that I really enjoy doing reaction videos, and I actually did a reaction video to another Skylife video that was titled, I Learned Witchcraft from Real Witches, and anyone that's seen that video will know that I really enjoyed it. If you would like to see that video, I will link it up here so that you guys can go and watch my reaction to that video for yourself. But this is kind of the second witchcraft themed video on Skylife's channel. So just before we get started, I do just want to say a few things. Hello, if you've never seen me before, my name is Hearth and I am a practicing witch, and here on my channel I try to dispel as many witchcraft misconceptions as I can, while also trying to spread as much positive information for the magical community as I can. The second thing is that in these videos I never intend to be malicious or negative towards the people or the production involved. Instead, I merely want to dispel any misconceptions that are mentioned during the video and add a little bit of extra context, because a lot of these videos are quite short and they're often aimed at audiences that aren't aware of the magical community and don't know about witchcraft and haven't studied it for themselves. And thirdly is that I don't put the entire original video in mine. So if you would like to go and support the channel in question or the video, the links for that will be down in the description box, because I really enjoy Skylife's content. So it would be really great if any of you that were interested would go and check out their channel and give them some love for all of their content. So with that all out of the way, let's start with this reaction. So I'm going to shuffle over here so that I can stick the video right over here so that you have an idea of what I'm actually looking at. Otherwise, this would get really confusing.
All I want to do is help people believe in magic, because magic has changed and saved my life and given me everything. Believing in magic, even though it's the hardest choice you will ever make, is the most worth it. The more I believed in magic, the better everything became. Magic is real.
We have arrived in Topanga Canyon. It is so beautiful here. We're up in the mountains and we're about to meet with Mia Magic. I am so excited about this. I think this is the most excited I've been for a video, because Mia Magic is a legend. Like, this woman is a pro manifester. She actually is using magic and witchcraft to create the life of her dreams.
I have to say that I personally have never heard of Mia Magic, but then I am not very well versed in, say, the Instagram witchcraft world. Isn't really somewhere that I've gone. So I'm gonna have to do some more research on who this individual is, because they are absolutely beautiful, for one. Their style is gorgeous. I wish I could wear half of that stuff. I will just stick with my band t-shirts and leave it at that. But this is really interesting so far. A lot of this is quite interesting magical practice that I've seen. There seems to be a little bit of shadow work going on in here, a little bit of emotional release, which is really interesting. Now, the one thing that I do find quite interesting, it's neither positive nor negative, it's just an interesting point, is Skylife referring to Mia Magic as being kind of a legend because they are manifesting their dream life with magic. And I find that quite entertaining, because that's what most witches do. They might not be on social media and they might not be well known, but most witches practice magic to manifest positive things in their life and the life of other people. And so to me, knowing a friend of mine has manifested their dream house isn't necessarily something that I would consider to be legendary, mainly because most people that practice magic are after similar things. They're trying to manifest positivity and positive outcomes into their life. I've never really thought of witchcraft in this way. Typically, when I think of non-magical practitioners thinking about magic, it's often from a rather negative or condescending stance, whereas Skylife has a very different approach. It's very much idolizing people that practice magic, or at least it appears that way. So that's kind of interesting. We're only a minute in and I'm already really fascinated by where this video is going to go.
I don't know what to expect. There's gonna be a lot of getting uncomfortable today, I think, a lot of getting vulnerable. We're here and we're gonna go meet Mia Magic. Casual red Range Rover in the driveway. I wonder if that's her car. There she is.
Hi! Come in! Good morning! Hi everyone, I'm Mia Magic. I'm a witch and an ambassador for modern magic.
So you said you like manifested this house?
I used magic to get everything that I have in my life.
What manifestation means in its definition is to bring something into fruition or reality.
Gold is the color of life, of abundance. So as you enter the house, everything here is gold. This is a honey jar spell. This is actually one of the best ways that I manifest anything.
You have a broomstick too.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting how everything is done here. It's a little different than, say, traditional witchcraft, which is mainly where my basis lies. She does describe herself as a modern witch, so it's very different from, say, my personal practice, and it's very beautiful. I have to say, her house is gorgeous. I love the witch's hat. Is it a little bit stereotypical for a video about witchcraft? Of course. You know where I stand on this. I find that when people dress up in a certain way in order to do a video like this, which is typically aimed at people outside of the magical community, it can help spread a little bit of misinformation that witches wear witches' hats on a regular basis, whereas I think the last time I wore a witch's hat was Halloween 2003. So it does have that kind of stance with it where it can lead people to confuse costume and witchcraft, but obviously I don't know what their personal style is, so this might just be what they wear on a regular basis and they aren't doing anything differently for the video, so I'll have to check on that afterwards. But I'm just going to assume that it might just be part of their personal style, just as new rock boots and dyed hair are part of mine. Every practitioner is going to be different, and I think that's really important just to mention here. You don't have to look a certain way in order to be a witch. Now, it's not mentioned at any point in this video that you do have to look a certain way, not at all. This is just something I want to add in because I've seen a lot of videos like this, and typically everyone involved in that video has a certain look and a certain attitude about them. And I just want to make it clear here that you can be a man and be a witch, you can be gender fluid and be a witch, you can be non-binary and be a witch, you can be whoever you are and be a witch. It's not dependent on age, skin tone, gender, sexual orientation, aesthetic, nothing like that. It's just you find that a lot of people that are active on social media in the witchcraft community are younger individuals, often women, and so they often take over the entire sphere of witchcraft. So if you do fit outside of this very stereotypical view of witchcraft, please don't worry, you can still practice and manifest your magical workings without having to look a certain way. So it's not mentioned in this video and it's not implied in this video at all, but I just thought it was important to add in because a lot of videos do have a very similar aesthetic running through them that you definitely don't have to fit into. So another thing here is I really like the use of colour. This is quite unusual, it's quite interesting. People often use it in spellwork and ritual. It isn't so often used around the home. So what they've done here is they have utilised gold items and items that symbolically represent what they want to manifest, so that when you walk into the home, it is that energy that lingers around. It's really interesting to me.
Yeah, this is my visum. Visum is the ancient word for the broomstick.
How does your day normally start?
With naked yoga right down there.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you find this place?
Magic. I'm gonna put you on the sound lounge too. We have a vibroacoustic haptic bed that you can put any binaural beat, and it has 4 subwoofers in the bottom of it, and it just like, and so that's a big part of my morning routine.
My most favorite magical tool. It's 4 subwoofers, just channeling whatever frequency you want right into yourselves. Let's see how she's doing.
That felt so good. It's like your whole body just...
For me, being a witch means living from a state of wisdom that comes by cultivating a harmonious relationship with the natural world, with other people, with ourselves, and with whatever our word for source, divine, God, goddess, universe is. If you don't have a why that's aligned with the highest good of all, it's gonna be really hard to manifest what you want. But magic is manifestation. It's harnessing the forces and energies of the universe and being able to wield them in the direction of bringing your desire to fruition. I have witnessed being supported by magic. My first candle magic spell, I was like broke and I needed money, and I made 12 grand the next day.
So that's really interesting, the way that magic is described there. It's not personally how I would describe it, but I always find it really interesting how other people describe it, because I have a tendency to oversimplify it, mainly because I say it so often, if not on here, then on live streams, everywhere, basically. But that's a really interesting view. I can't get over how gorgeous this house is. This house is beautiful. So I've actually had a similar experience to that when it comes to money magic and candle money magic in particular. I remember it was a few years ago now, and I did a candle spell to help bring business, because I was really struggling. I was now fully dependent on my business, and I was stressed. I was stressed and a little bit panicked. And I remember I did a candle working, and the moment that the candle went out, I got like 3 sales. Literally, like the second that the candle flame went, I got 3 bings on my phone, and they were 3 back-to-back sales. And that was really significant to me. It just went to show in my mind how when everything is aligned and when you are putting in the effort, but you're also doing the spiritual and the magical work, things can really quickly align and you can really manifest results quickly. Now, that's not to say that all workings will manifest like that. And it's also not to say that you will earn $12,000, which is insane, in one day. Mia obviously has a very different line of work to most people. I suspect that she is going to be in this field, whether just as an influencer or as an influencer and other aspects of the magical practice. So if you are doing a money magic spell, don't expect that $12,000 is going to land on your doorstep the next day unless you're in a position to achieve that. But that is a fantastic result, and I am so glad that they had such a strong response from that working, because that kind of response really helps to cement the idea that this is working, this is good, this is something that I can see myself doing consistently. Because I think when you have a lot of workings that fail, or that don't manifest back to back to back to back, a lot of people do feel as though that this entire thing is pointless and they should just quit. And you definitely shouldn't, because at some point within your magical practice, there will be a defining moment. There will be a significant dream, a meditation, a trance work, a spell, a ritual, shadow work. There will be a defining moment in your magical practice that makes you go, whoa, okay, I should keep doing this because this is really, really good and this actually works and I wasn't just delusional. So I think if you are in the position where you haven't had that yet, don't get disheartened, because as we've seen here, it definitely does happen.
What is this? What's going on here?
This is sort of like our masculine altar, and then the golden side on the other side of the fireplace is more like the feminine. You'll see there's like an interesting relationship to balance. That's like a big thing, you know, everybody wants to know how you find a boyfriend. One of the best ways to manifest love is to bring balance and symmetry into anything that you create. Yeah, so this is more like kind of my earth altar. So how we had the orchids over there, right? Super feminine, they look like pussies, they're like so beautiful. And then we have one masculine deer thing over here. It's like, okay, bringing the balance of the two sides. So then I made this, the wreath in the center, and then the 2 owl wings. This was actually the first pair of owl wings that I found. As a little girl, I was completely immersed in worlds of fantasy. When I started going to public school, everyone was like, you're a loser and magic isn't real. And I started really believing all of those things because I kept getting rejected. I had totally shut myself off from even the possibility that magic could be real. Then I was in an accident when I was 16 and I almost lost my arm. I needed so much help with everything. I couldn't put up my hair. I couldn't even get dressed by myself. And I just got angry. I made a series of other mistakes and kept hiding and running from my power and my magic. I was sleepwalking through my life, pretending like everything that I believed in wasn't real. And I was miserable. I was living in a self-inflicted prison, and I fucking clawed my way out of there. It was like quicksand sometimes, and I would just fall back down, and I'd be like stuck and covered in muck and just like fuck. But I never stopped crawling and climbing. So you take a rest, and then you get back up and you keep going. Then we come downstairs.
So that was actually really, really emotional. I'm kind of trying to hold back the tears a little bit here because I cry at everything. So I just have to, suck in those tears. Do not fall. Because a lot of people, I think a lot of us in the magical community have been in a similar situation, and I am so, so thankful that Mia managed to get out of this. It can be so difficult, and as was said here, it's almost like you're sleepwalking. If you are stuck in a world where you have to be something that you're not, it is incredibly difficult to feel good about yourself, about what you're doing, about how you're living. And I think a lot of us feel this way. As children, a lot of us have spirit encounters. We might see the fae. We might be doing magical practice and we are told that we are delusional. It's just daydreams. It's just an imaginary friend. And then when we're released into the world, we are expected to believe that the only things that are important are the material objects that we have around us. You work to earn money to buy things. You then have a family and release them out to do the exact same thing. And if you consider anything outside of the material, physical, monetary world as being important, you are considered to be really, really odd. And that blows my mind a little bit because we are one of the only societies that has this very toxic approach to spirituality that most other societies and historical societies that have such a negative approach to the world. But if you are in this situation where you feel like you're daydreaming through life because you know and want to be part of something that you feel as though you can't be, you can get out of it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tiring. You might lose some friends along the way, those people that don't want you to be who you want to be. But you can definitely do it, and Mia is a perfect example. They were in such a terrible situation and they managed to get out of it, and now look at them. They are living their dream, or at least it appears that they are living their dream, manifesting the things that they want out of life and just truly feeling good within themselves. And I think that is something that we should all aspire to being. It isn't all about money. It isn't all about material objects. First and foremost, it should be you following your truth and your desired path and just feeling as though you can do that. I really went off on a tangent at this, so I do apologize, but it's something that's very close to my heart because I think a lot of us and a lot of the people that I know have felt conditioned into ignoring who they are and instead replacing it with a version of themselves that is suitable for society. And I think we really, especially with everything that's going on, we need to kind of break it back down and we need to be happy with who we are and we need to be doing things that make us happy, not necessarily things that make society happy. Okay. I'm going to stop talking about this now. But yeah, it is a really emotional topic that they've touched on there.
And then this is my room.
Oh my gosh.
Had this bed custom made, but then I painted it myself to make it green, right? Color of life, gold, abundance. And then I have these willow branches, and these are actually my rage ritual branches. Willow represents peace and flexibility, and so I really love the energy of having willow branches to like release the anger.
Should we do a little rage ritual?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Something that's so crazy is like, so when I was manifesting a partner, I crystal gridded the bed. And so I had only spheres on the feminine side and only obelisks on the masculine side. 1 month after I moved in here, I met Bear. He had this like reading, and this woman was like, your symbol is an obelisk. And I had literally lined my entire right side of my bed with obelisks, and then like someone whose symbol is an obelisk just like shows up. Wow. Yeah, it was wild. So these are petals.
So that's really interesting. It's a different way of doing magical practice. It's very much a manifestation technique that's used outside of witchcraft. So obviously in this instance, Mia was using it alongside witchcraft, but people do this without being practicing witches as well. It's a very common manifestation technique, is that you bring things into your life that represent what you want to come into your life. So all of the colors, the items that are being used here, they're all being used for manifesting things and to attract things in. So these can be done even if you aren't a witch. So if witchcraft is a little bit of a step too far for you, you could always try this technique of manifestation where you have items that represent what it is that you want to achieve. So if you want love, you might dress your bed in red or pink. If you want to represent good luck, you might use green. Health, you might use blue or white. So it's really interesting, this kind of blend, and it's really nice to see someone's personal practice that is their own unique thing, that they've managed to create something that works really significantly for them, that it might not work the same for someone else, but for them it really, really works. Now, when it comes to the rage ritual sticks, that's a really interesting technique. It's really cool, actually. I kind of like it. See, for me, willow doesn't represent the same things as willow represents for them, and that might be because we're on two completely different countries, on two completely different continents. For me, willow is very much a representation of health and healing, whereas over there it's about flexibility. But they can be used in the same way, and I like how even though one is for flexibility and one is for healing, getting out all of that rage, that anger, that frustration is a form of emotional healing. So even though we both have two different correspondences for the same family of plants, we might use them in the same way to gain the same response, but the basis of why we're doing it is just slightly different. So that's why I really love watching content that has magical practitioners showing their actual magical practice, because it really helps to give people an idea of someone else's magical system, to give them ideas to add into their own, and to also just show the diversity of magical practices around the world, because I could ask 5 of my witchcraft friends and they will all have 5 different ways of doing it. Unless they're part of a very specific tradition, most magical practitioners will have completely unique or at least slightly varied versions of the same workings.
Peonies and roses, flowers that are celebrations of something, you can always do magic that sort of amplifies that particular energy with those flower petals. I've been doing a lot of deep inner child work lately, and I sit in the chair where my mom would sit while I was in the hospital and read Harry Potter to me. And I tell that poor, sweet, lost little girl, this is not just a story, this is real. And let her believe, give her permission to believe, because that was the darkest time of my life when I didn't believe in magic. When I kept myself from being who I'd always known I was.
Our third sister has joined, Hannah.
This is one of our witch sisters. Like, we're talking about sex magic. I'm like, what is sex magic? So you can do, you can do sex magic with the energy of sexuality, because sexual energy is the creative energy, right? It's what gives life, brings life. Yeah. So you can do sex magic without ever touching yourself. It's just like bringing that energy of that free-flowing being in pleasure, feeling the joy and the bliss and the openness.
Something I intuitively have been doing before I was learning about anything when it comes to magic was...
We already know what you're going to say, and we like it. We fully approve.
Like,
yes.
Whenever I would want to get in the mindset of manifestation, I literally would masturbate and think about what I want.
Duh. That's OG sex magic. Okay, so we're going to keep going with our tune-up. This is brain tonic. Yeah.
Whoa, that's strong.
Generally, the breath that I do is just a connected breath, and you just draw in really deep, and then so it's like one, you're like sending it up out into the universe, and the other, you're drawing it down from the universe and birthing it into your manifest reality. And so this is sex magic that we're doing without using sex. What's a particular manifestation that feels really important for you right now?
More financial abundance.
And what would be a symbol that would represent that to you?
Gold.
So when you reach your crown, just like picture everything gold. Oh, okay, so now I'll breathe.
So this is a really interesting thing that I haven't really seen before. My perspective on sex magic is the very traditional form of sex magic. This is definitely kind of a little bit outside of that, but it's still really interesting. It is the use of free-flowing energy and that release of your baseline self. So I think a lot of people in day-to-day life, we have a lot of walls up all of the time. We're always shielded, we're always guarded. And you'll often find that you only really lose that guarding if you're in a comfortable environment. So often it will be during intimacy with a partner or by yourself. Now, sex magic isn't necessarily what people think it is. It isn't giant orgies in the forest and all that kind of stuff. This can still be a part of it because it's about connecting to that baseline abundant energy that everyone has, And it's releasing that in a way that is free, and it's without all of these walls and barriers and protections that we put up around ourselves. It's the ability to just be free and to be able to release that. Now, this is definitely been done in slightly an unusual way, and I think a lot of people are going to be smirking and smiling and laughing while they're watching this being done, because it is quite unusual, to say the least. But they're adding in a few different aspects here. So the first is breath. Now, a lot of us have just automated breathing. Most people, unless they have medical conditions or health problems, have automated breathing. It's something that you don't think about. But the moment you think about breathing, suddenly it becomes a manual process. Has it happened yet? Have you done it? Have you forced yourself to think about breathing? Because the moment you do, you have to manually breathe. You don't actually have to manually breathe, but when you think about it, suddenly you do manually breathe in and breathe out. Now, this is a technique that's used in a lot of different things. It's used a lot in therapies for anxiety. I know that I had this happen when I went into therapy for anxiety, is that they often teach you how to control your breathing and using your breath to control your mind and your body. It's about controlling the breath in, holding it, and then controlling the breath out again. And when you add the idea of using breath as a way of controlling the mind and to calm the soul, then you can add in the magical practice and add energy into that breath. And you add the motion into it. And then you're actively using your body, your energy, your breath, your mind, your soul, your spirit, whatever it is that you are connecting with, to manifest that working. And it can look really unusual. It can look kind of bizarre, but it is a way that people have used breath in magical workings for a long time. Now, the other things that have been added in here, I believe what they used was flower essence. This is very different to essential oil, so please never, ever, ever, I cannot say it enough, never, ever use essential oil internally. Please, it can cause some real damage. But it's known as flower essence. I do believe they didn't show any labels because they don't want to give free advertising, I guess. And essentially it's put under the tongue and then it's allowed to just be absorbed in, and it's usually used for empowering certain aspects of life. They'll utilize different flowers and different plants to help bring that energy into themselves and their space. It's also used in holistic healing alongside standard medication and therapy. So it's really interesting they've added that in as well, or at least something similar to that. It's usually a tonic of some kind that's used. And then they've added in the idea of the chakras and passing that energy up and down through the chakras. So that's another addition to this that is quite interesting. Not everyone adds this in. I personally don't work with the chakras in my magical practice, although I sometimes do use them in videos to reference energy points, because a lot of people do know where the chakras are and it might be harder to describe in any other way. Now, I know going into this that there will likely have been quite a few comments under this video and a few raised eyebrows over how this is going to look. If anyone hasn't seen trance work, deep meditation, or energy work like this before, they probably aren't aware of just how strong of a physical response that you can have, especially if you're moving and you're breathing and you're working with energy all at the same time. People that go into trance will make sounds, they will scream, they will sing, they will shout, they will babble what is seemingly nonsense, they will move in very strange ways, and it can be really, really odd to look at. So I actually really appreciate the fact that they added it into this video, because if it is going to look what I think it's going to look like, it is going to raise a lot of eyebrows with people outside of the magical community. And because of that, a lot of people don't add it into videos and content because they don't want to be shamed for it. It is definitely a very unusual technique for most people within non-magical society. In lots of other countries, this kind of working isn't anything unusual, but for us, it is seen as being really, really weird. So let's see what it's like. I'm excited about this.
And then moving into your solar plexus, the fire, the will, the action. And then bringing that up into your throat and making a sound, giving yourself permission to speak more clearly, having that permission to show up as your highest self. Who are you when you live that golden light life? Have all of your dreams manifest into reality. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What do you taste? Let yourself be crowned by this energy. And we draw this breath up and we build the energy and build it until we see all of our dreams coming true and just raining down over us. You're safe to feel everything here.
We've had our power stripped away. Women need each other like this. Your souls are like telling me ancient wisdom has been taken away or something. You're literally giving me like the gift of this wisdom that's so real. It's crazy. It just struck me so strong when I looked at you. It was like, it hit me like a ton of gold bricks.
Those are the only bricks that should hit you.
Exactly. We only want to be hit with golden bricks.
This is so powerful.
You went so deep, and that's all it takes.
I'm just
So that might seem like a really extreme response, but actually it's pretty common. So when you do workings like this, you're often tapping into your subconscious, and in there are a lot of things that you haven't kind of taken care of, you haven't processed them. And this happens a lot when people go to therapy, for instance, when you're talking it through and you start remembering and recalling things that you've suppressed, people often have a really strong emotional response. The same happens with witchcraft, trance work, meditation. You can often have a really strong physical response, whether that be getting sick after spell work and rituals, meditation, trance cleansings. It can make people physically ill, or people have a very strong emotional response. So they might start hysterically laughing, hysterically crying. This is particularly true when it's the start of someone's journey, as we see here, or when people are doing shadow work. So essentially with shadow work, you are tapping into your subconscious and you're breaking down the walls that are protecting you from the things you haven't processed. So traumas, emotional events, even just small things that at the time we couldn't emotionally process, we go back and we can process them and have to take out all of those bricks and really break apart the thing that's causing us problems. And this can cause a very, very strong emotional response, whether that's laughter, tears, anger. So although it might seem really, really strange, this is exceptionally common. It's common in therapies. It's also common in spiritual practices like this to have such a strong visceral response. Now, the one thing that I will say is that it's not all about women coming together to do this kind of thing. It really can be anyone. Having a safe space is really what's most important. So in this scenario, they feel safe with each other within a group of women, but it doesn't have to be like that. It could be women and men together. It could be non-binary people together. It can be gender fluid people together. It can just be a collection of people. It's about having a group of people that you feel safe with. That's the really important thing. And if that is people of your same sexual orientation, that's an option. People with your same gender, that's an option. People that just make you feel safe and happy and comfortable is the best option of all. So it's not just about women in groups, it really is just whoever is going to catch you when you're in this environment, because it can be exceptionally emotional. It can really confuse you when you come out of it. You might not know where you are. So it's really good to have people around you that know what you're doing, that know how to deal with it, that you can be safe and comfortable with. And that's really the most important thing.
Because you get to have the opportunity to be responsible for creating your dream life, it does mean by nature of reality, you couldn't be able to create the things that you want without also creating the things that you don't want. And anytime you are a victim to anything, it is just an opportunity for you to become the victor. We all have to awaken from this victim consciousness, thinking that anything is being done to us when everything is being done for us, through us, and by us. This happened to me, but it didn't, because I wouldn't be who I am without this having happened to me.
I think that can be a really good mindset. It can be. But the instantaneous thing that came to my mind is, don't blame yourself if other people have done bad things to you. I think it's really good to have that mindset of, okay, so this bad thing happened, but I can grow from this. But it's obviously not what's being said here, but it could be something that people take away from it, is the idea that it's my fault that someone else did a bad thing to me because it helped me grow as a person. Like, yes, it helped you grow as a person because you're a strong person and you came out of it and you were able to grow and develop yourself from it. But it's not your fault that someone did a bad thing to you. It's their fault. And I think it's really important to draw that distinction. You will grow as a person without having that terrible thing happen to you. But because that terrible thing happened to you, you were able to grow from it. I never want anyone to blame themselves for the cruel and horrific actions that other people have done to them, because it's not your fault. If something terrible happened to you, it's not your fault, but you can grow from it. Now, that isn't really what's being implied here, but I really didn't want anyone to take that away with them, because if someone does a bad thing to you, then they're a bad person. You just then have the option to grow from it. It's not your fault that it happened to you. Okay, enough of that. I'm gonna continue the video.
Being ourselves is the one thing that we've never been told it's okay to be. So consider this your permission slip. Magic unfolds all around you as soon as you believe in it. Magic is real.
What do you guys think of the video? Like, comment, let us know what you thought. Honestly, my day with you changed my life. I am so grateful for you, so thank you for everything. To manifest the life of your dreams.
Literally anything you want. You can have it, you can be it, you can do it, you can create it, and we're here to support you in remembering how.
Hell yeah. Click the link in the description.
So I actually liked that video a lot more than I thought I would. Now, it isn't necessarily my style of magical practice, but that's completely fine. Everyone is going to be different, and this was very much more of the manifestation aspect rather than the witchcraft. So it is really good to give a different perspective, because some people are very nervous of jumping straight into witchcraft, and you can do this style of practice in witchcraft, but you can also do it without involving the other aspects of witchcraft in it. So if you are just getting started and you're nervous about jumping headfirst into witchcraft, this could be a really, really good way to go. Now, of course, you can find a spectrum somewhere in between. That is a good option as well, but it is a really good way to start. I will say that if you're planning on doing this, don't aim for like the biggest thing you can imagine. As I said here, anything you can achieve is possible, but not entirely. So remember, it still confides to natural laws. You're not going to be able to grow wings, levitate, throw fireballs, that kind of thing. But also, it's a good way to start small anyway. So at the very start, you're maybe not going to be able to manifest a 16-bedroom mansion in Beverly Hills. So instead, just do little increments, and it's the best way to do it without getting disheartened, because you can make the progress without making a giant leap from A to B. So if you did enjoy this video, there will be the link to the full video down in the description box. Please go and check that out and support Skylife. This has been a really enjoyable video, so please send them some love. I would really appreciate it, and I'm sure that they would as well. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to give it a like. It really, really means so much to me. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns, video ideas, or just want to chit chat with the community, please feel free to post down in the comment section, and we do have a Discord server where you guys can chat with other magical practitioners. The link is in the description box. If you did enjoy the magical content on this channel or in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I do try my best with magical content every single week. So I hope you guys are having a marvelous magical day. I hope that you enjoyed this content. Stay safe, you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!